Hendon Hooker's career with the Lions is all but over. He might be around as this third-string emergency quarterback if they so desire. He doesn't really take up a roster spot. But Hendon Hooker found himself in a situation on Friday where he had to come through and show some sort of signs of life, and he did the complete opposite of that. Down his leg, you know what I'm talking about. He was a disaster once again. Not athletic, thinks he's athletic, can't stay in the pocket, jitter feet, and can't hang on to the football. I think that pretty much sealed the deal on Hendon Hooker's career with the Lions. At this point, I'd be shocked if he ever stepped onto the field in a regular season game or contributed to the Lions in any sort of positive way. Not that Kyle Allen blew expectations out of the water, but he's just significantly better than Hendon Hooker right now in preseason. Hooker even got an opportunity to play with the second-string guys, and yet again, the Lions could not score with him as the quarterback. He gets pulled before halftime, insert Kyle Allen, and instantly things start clicking. Look, you look around preseason football, and a lot of teams have young quarterbacks that just kind of get you excited as backups. Joe Milton, Patriots last year, Cowboys this year, exciting guy. Trey Lance lit the Lions up in the Hall of Fame game. There's quarterbacks around the league that are sitting on the bench that against second stringers can look pretty good. Hendon Hooker's not one of them. Not only does he not look good, he is actively hurting the Lions every time he goes out there, to the point where Kyle Allen looks like a Hall of Famer when he goes and replaces him. At this point, I'd be shocked if Hendon Hooker continued playing for the Detroit Lions in any sort of positive way. Now, with that being said, Hendon Hooker's not the quarterback I want to talk about right now. Jared Goff. Let's face a few things that are going to be reality this season, all right? Jared Goff, I believe, is under more pressure than anyone in the Detroit Lions organization. I'm talking players, I'm talking coaches, I'm talking owners. If I had to pinpoint the most pressure on one specific person, I think it comes down to Jared Goff. And it's not to say he has not proven himself in the Lions. He has, right? He's been more than any of us could have expected. All of us, every single one of us was guilty of calling him a bridge quarterback. And now they give him this extension. But now the extension's going to start to cause some cracks in this Detroit Lions roster. And we've already seen it start to kick off. Alex Anzalone, a little bit of a contract dispute. What's the next domino to fall? Is it Brian Branch not getting a contract? Is it Sam Laporta not getting a contract? Jamison Williams, Aiden Hutchinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, all these guys need contracts. And you know who I just, not intentionally, but typically gets left out of that conversation is Jack Campbell. Is it not the most Lions thing of all time to pay him before all of those guys? Oh, he's earned it. He's a Detroit Lion here, in and out. First guy here, last guy to leave. Jack Campbell's probably getting a contract extension, even though he's not as good of a player, or is at least important of a player, as all those other guys I just named. You're already starting to see some of that because of the Goff contract. The other reality is he has a worse offensive line, and oh yeah, Ben Johnson is gone. There is more on Jared Goff's plate this year than there ever has been before. And let's not forget, it's kind of back-to-back playoff stinkers. It wasn't all his fault in that Commanders game. That defense couldn't get a stop, couldn't stop a nosebleed. But Goff wasn't the solution. And he wasn't the solution in that 49ers game as well. So back-to-back games where he doesn't play his best football. And now he's dealing with a worse offensive line. Now he's without the play caller that really made him, if we want to say MVP caliber, MVP type of season, sure, by all means, but he's never going to win the award. Now that he has a worse offensive line and is without Ben Johnson, and he still has all these weapons, I think there's just way more on his plate. Way more on his plate. The reality is, if Aiden Hutchinson's out there, this is a better team than they were last year. So it's not like all of a sudden, hey, I'm real worried about Goff. What's going to happen now that Ben Johnson... I'm not worried. This team is going to be fine. But are you comfortable with the idea that there is more pressure on Jared Goff right now than there has been before? The Lions are going to be fine. I'm just saying there are a couple things that I think about that just make me this nervous. And people on the radio probably can't hear that or can't see this, but I'm holding my fingers up about an inch apart. I'm just a wee bit nervous. Jared Goff's not a guy who's going to fix a ton of your problems when things start to break down in the middle of the play. Everything has to go on script, and he is damn good at following that script. But with that being said, I don't know how much things are going to go according to script this year. And that's not me being pessimistic. It's me not knowing what we're getting from Johnny Morin, not knowing what Tate Ratledge and Christian Mahogany are going to look like as the guards. And I know Tate Ratledge had this awesome preseason game on Friday. We'll get to that in a little bit, but we don't know what Tate Ratledge is going to be. I hope he's going to be a mauler. He sure looked like a mauler in that preseason game, but that's against a bunch of backups. Jared Goff, to me, is under more pressure than anyone this year to get the Lions to the Super Bowl. Because, let's face it, as much as we love this roster, and Hutchinson's back, and the defense is way better, and the weapons might be the best group of weapons in the NFL, if Jared Goff's not playing to the way he was for the most of last season, the Lions aren't getting anything done. The person that this season relies on more than anybody is JG16. And I don't know how to feel about that, if I'm being completely honest. Because if we're naming 5 of the most important guys on this team, well, how about this? 5 of the best players on this team. I don't think Jared Goff pops up. I think the 5 best players on this team, just straight up, Hutchinson, Sewell, Gibbs, St. Brown, Brian Branch. All right, then we can get into J-Mo, Laporta, Kirby Joseph, Ali McNeil, and Jared Goff. That's the next tier. This team is completely loaded. But the quarterback, the most important position on the field at all times, is not necessarily the guy who's taking the franchise and dragging it by his hand, putting the team on his back. And throughout the course of, the last 10 years, that seems to be the recipe to work in the NFL. Now, the Eagles are a little bit of a mix of those situations because they've got the roster and they've got the quarterback. And I'm not saying the Lions don't have the quarterback. All I'm saying is there is more on Jared Goff's plate this year than there ever has been before. And that makes me just the tiniest bit nervous. Does anyone else share this with me? Or am I just acting crazy? 989-837-6125. We'll get to the Mint messages. We'll get to the YouTube comments. We'll get to the Tigers at 10 o'clock. But I do want to start out the week by talking about the quarterback of the Detroit Lions because, we are so close to the beginning of the NFL season. And I just want everyone to be on the same page in terms of what the expectations are for Jared Goff. Don't throw this guy's going to win MVP at me. I don't want to hear it. I've heard that each of the last 3 seasons or 2 seasons. I don't know. It's just not going to happen. But he's going to have to play as good as he did last year for this Lions team to have a chance. At least in the regular season, he's going to have to play that good. Because in the playoffs, it wasn't great. And at the end of the day, we can talk about this roster and the offensive line and the play calling, but we need another amazing season from Jared Goff in order for all of us, me, Kyle, you listeners, we all want the same thing. Lombardi Trophy in Detroit. The only way that happens is if Jared Goff plays like a champion. And in the last 2 postseasons, I'd argue he hasn't. We shall see. 989-837-6125. Are you at all, even a little bit, okay with admitting you're nervous about the Jared Goff situation? Because with this contract, with the new play caller, with the new offensive line, the expectation for him needs to be you need to play like a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. You don't have to put the team on your back, rush for a ton of yards the way that a Lamar and Mahomes. We know you're not that guy. But we cannot get another Commanders game out of you. It just simply can't happen. And let's be honest with ourselves. After the season, it gets significantly harder because of his contract. That's the route they decided to go. And there wasn't an alternative. There's probably someone out there yelling at the radio, what do you want them to do, not pay him? No, they had to pay him because Hendon Hooker sucks. But they had to pay him. But the reality of the situation is if you're paying him, which they did, he's got to play well. Do you trust that?